Hello class, Miss Pinto here to introduce the first part of our writing a narrative flip lessons. Today we're going to be learning about passive and active voice. We'll learn the difference between the two and as well as how to use them. For narrative purposes, it's better to write in the active voice rather than the passive, so let's find out why. The passive voice is known as the voice used to indicate that the grammatical subject of the verb is the recipient, not the source, of the action denoted by the verb. So an example of this is the ball was thrown by the boy. The subject is the ball and the verb is was thrown. When you're unsure of whether you're writing in passive or active voice, you have to ask yourself these questions. Is the subject doing what the verb described? Is the subject actively doing something? In this case, the ball, the subject, was not doing what the verb described. Therefore, you're writing in passive voice. So something or someone was doing something to the subject rather than it actively doing something itself. On the other hand, active voice is completely opposite. Active voice is known as the voice used to indicate that the grammatical subject of the verb is performing the action or causing the happening denoted by the verb. An example of this is the boy threw the ball, the subject being the boy and the verb being threw. In order to know that you're writing an active voice, you have to ask yourself, is the subject doing what the verb described? And is the subject actively doing something? In this case, both times the boy is actively doing something and is doing what the verb described. He's throwing the ball. Therefore, you're writing an active voice. So now let's do some practice. You can stop this video at any time if you want more time to answer the questions. The first example is the perfume was sold by Britney Spears. Is this active or is it passive voice? If you answered passive voice, then you're correct. The subject, which is the perfume, is not doing what the verb described. Now, take some time to make the sentence into an active voice sentence. If you answered something like, Britney Spears sold the perfume, then you're correct. Now let's try the next example. Is it active or is it passive voice? If you answered active, then you're correct. Now switch it up and make it into passive voice. If your answer went something like the meat dress had been worn by Lady Gaga at the VMAs, then you're correct. Many teachers may have taught you in the past that passive voice is wrong and that active voice is always good, but that's not always the case. For style and clarity purposes, active voice is preferable because it's more immediate and engaging, but passive voice isn't always all that bad. For narrative purposes, since we are writing a narrative, it would make sense to write in active voice because it flows better and it's more clear. However, let's look at some cool ways that you can use passive voice.
It's written with a G. Ben Penner is written with a J. I'm telling you, it's written with a G. It's my favourite word. It is written with a J.
God, that's a big head. And they're always served like that here.
Hey, Louis. These dishes haven't been cleaned in days.
Gary, when was the last time your bed was made?
Moi j'avais mon style, toi t'avais ton style. Existe-t-il un autre style?
What? A letter We are the Dusty Bears.
So now it's your turn. I want you to take the nursery rhyme Itsy Bitsy Spider and convert it from active voice to passive voice. Just bring that into class tomorrow and let's see who can read it the best. Thank you all very much for listening and watching this flip lesson video. I hope to see you all in class tomorrow. Make good choices.